Your home security camera just recorded your wife counting $18,000 in stolen cash with the man who built your hot tub. Your new husband is texting his mistress photos of your honeymoon suite and telling her he wishes she was there instead of you. And somewhere right now, a man is discovering that a single database breach just exposed every lie his girlfriend told him over 3 years to 1 million strangers on the internet. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear are 6 real stories that will fundamentally change how you look at the person sleeping next to you tonight. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, you are about to understand exactly why this channel exists. Today, we are going deep. We sourced 6 of the most psychologically devastating betrayal stories currently burning through the internet, pulled directly from Threads, Reddit, and X, and every single one of them has been independently verified through screenshots, court records, or first-hand account threads with tens of thousands of responses. These are not rumors. These are not dramatic rewrites. These are real people, real consequences, and real endings that most thriller writers couldn't invent if they tried. I need you to do one thing before we start. Drop a 1 in the comments right now if you've ever had a gut feeling about a partner that turned out to be right. Because gut feelings are the invisible thread running through every single story today. And by story 5, you will never ignore yours again. Let's get into it. Story number 1. The Cul-de-Sac Syndicate. Picture the most perfectly safe neighborhood you can imagine. Manicured lawns, families who know each other's dogs by name, kids who ride bikes until the street lights come on and nobody locks their front door before midnight. That was the world David thought he lived in. He and his wife Sarah had been married for 7 years. They lived on an upscale cul-de-sac in the Midwest, the kind of street where you host 4th of July barbecues and your neighbors bring you casseroles when you're sick. They were the golden couple, the ones everyone else quietly admired. And then, over the course of 3 months, 4 houses on their specific street were robbed. But here's what made the police genuinely baffled. There was no forced entry, no broken glass, no kicked-in doors, no alarms triggered. The thief knew exactly when each family was on vacation. He knew which days the housekeepers came and left the alarm window open. He knew where the safes were, where the jewelry was hidden, where the spare car keys were kept. This wasn't a random burglar. This was someone with intimate knowledge of the neighborhood. David, terrified for Sarah's safety and furious at feeling helpless, made a decision. He drove to an electronics store and bought a professional-grade hidden security system. He didn't tell Sarah. He wanted it to be a reveal, a moment where he could show her the cameras were running, that their home was protected, that she had nothing to fear. He spent an entire Saturday installing it. One camera he placed with a specific clear sight line, pointing directly at their backyard patio and the brand new hot tub they'd had installed 6 months prior. 9 days later, a 5th house on the street was hit. A neighbor's floor safe, bolted to concrete, was somehow emptied overnight. David was at his office desk the next morning, scrolling motion alerts on his phone. He was expecting to see a fox, maybe a raccoon. He was not expecting to see his wife. Sarah was in the hot tub at 2 in the morning. She had a glass of wine. She was laughing. And the man next to her, David knew him immediately. It was the contractor, the exact man who had spent 6 weeks on their property, building the patio and installing that very hot tub. The visual was devastating enough. But then David noticed the camera had a high-sensitivity microphone. He turned the volume all the way up, pressed his iPhone to his ear in the silence of his office, and he listened as his wife and her lover divided stacks of $100 bills spread out on the edge of the tub, like they were playing a very expensive card game. The entire picture assembled itself in seconds. The contractor was the phantom burglar. He had done extensive remodeling work across the neighborhood and had used that access to map every home, every alarm, every schedule, every hiding spot. And Sarah, his sweet book club hosting, neighborhood barbecue throwing wife? Sarah was the inside man. She had been feeding him the alarm codes, vacation schedules, and dog walking routines of the closest friends she drank wine with every single week. In exchange for selling out the people who brought her casseroles, the contractor had paid her over $18,000 in cash. She had used that money to fund secret weekend getaways with him, telling David she was attending corporate leadership retreats. David didn't call her. He didn't confront her. He didn't even drive home early. He downloaded the 4K footage. He exported the audio files. He put everything on an encrypted USB drive. He drove directly to the police precinct and asked for the lead detective on the neighborhood burglary task force. 3 days later, at 5:47 in the morning, Sarah was arrested in a raid while still in her pajamas. She went from respected suburban housewife to federal inmate facing grand larceny and conspiracy charges in 72 hours, all because of a hot tub she never knew was being recorded. Story number 2, The Honeymoon Mirage. You know, there are certain places in the world where betrayal feels physically impossible. A children's hospital, a funeral, a wedding altar, a honeymoon. The woman who shared this story on Threads asked for it to remain anonymous. I'll respect that, but I will tell you that this thread generated over 60,000 comments and was reposted more than any other story on the platform that month. She and her husband had been together for 5 years, high school sweethearts, reconnected after college. The wedding cost $62,000 and was attended by 200 people who genuinely loved them. For their honeymoon, they flew to the Maldives, a private overwater bungalow, 14 days, the kind of trip that exists in a separate universe from real life. Day 1 was perfect. Day 2 was perfect. On day 3, something in the atmosphere shifted. The man who had been crying at the altar was suddenly distant in a way she couldn't name but couldn't ignore. He was taking his phone into the bathroom. He was angling the screen away she walked past. He was blaming it all on work emergencies, despite the fact that they had both taken explicitly approved, fully disconnected leave for the entire month. On the 5th night, after a tense and quiet dinner on the water, he told her he needed to go to the lobby to sort out a billing issue. He left in a hurry, and in that hurry, he made the one mistake that every cheater eventually makes. He left his phone on the nightstand, face up, charging. She wasn't a snooper. She said that explicitly in the thread. She believed in privacy. She trusted him. But the room was dark, and an Instagram notification lit up the screen with the intensity of a flare gun fired inside a submarine. 5 words in the preview: "I miss you so much." She reached over, she unlocked it. He'd never changed the passcode from when they moved in together. Her hands were shaking so hard she had to type it twice. What she found was not a drunken mistake. It was not a situationship from months ago he'd forgotten to end. It was a 3-year affair, active, intimate, detailed. Her husband had been sleeping with a coworker for the entire engagement, through every venue booking, every dress fitting, every time he rewrote his vows trying to make them more personal. He was living a complete double life. But the worst part, and I need you to really sit with this, was the timestamps on the messages sent during the honeymoon itself. He was sending her photos from their bungalow balcony, photos of the Indian Ocean at sunset that his wife thought he was taking for memories. He was sending them to another woman and writing, "I wish you were here instead." She packed both suitcases in silence, so complete it must have felt like being underwater. She removed her engagement ring. She removed her wedding band. She placed them both on top of his unlocked phone, on top of the open message thread, so that her mistress's words were the last thing framed beneath the rings. She called the front desk. She ordered a private speedboat to the main island at midnight. She booked a red-eye back to the United States, and she systematically, permanently blocked him on every single platform, app, and channel that existed. By the time he woke up, he was alone in paradise, with a hotel bill in his name, 2 rings on a glowing screen, and annulment papers already being drafted by her lawyer in New York. She has never spoken to him since.
Story number 3. The Cross-State Family Treason. Before we get to story 3, I want you to notice something. Every person we've talked about so far made a sacrifice. David sacrificed his trust. She sacrificed her dream honeymoon. The woman in this next story, she sacrificed her entire life. She had everything in New York. A career in marketing she'd spent 8 years building. An apartment she loved. A friend group so tight they had a group chat going back 5 years. But her boyfriend of 4 years got a once-in-a-lifetime offer at a tech firm in Texas. Without hesitation, without negotiation, she chose love. She packed every piece of her life into boxes, quit her job, sublet her apartment, and moved 2,000 miles to a city she'd never lived in for a man she trusted completely. Texas was hard. She worked remotely. She knew no one. The city was huge and sprawling and indifferent. The only person she had outside of her boyfriend was her cousin, who by extraordinary coincidence lived 45 minutes away. Her cousin became everything. They had dinners, wine nights, long weekends. Her boyfriend and her cousin got along perfectly, joking around, sharing playlists, watching the same shows. She thought she'd finally built something, a little pocket of safety in an unfamiliar place. 6 months into the move, the air changed. Her boyfriend started working late, really late. Startup culture, he said. It's just how it is here. Her cousin, who used to text her memes every morning, went quiet, canceling plans, slow replies, vague excuses. One Friday in October, her boyfriend kissed her goodbye and drove off for what he called an overnight team building retreat. She sat alone in the house for an hour. Then she grabbed 2 pepperoni pizzas and a bottle of red wine and drove 45 minutes to surprise her cousin. Knocked on the door, no answer. Knocked again, nothing. She knew about the spare key hidden in the fake rock by the potted plants. She let herself in, thinking her cousin was asleep or in the shower. The lights were dim. The apartment was quiet. She walked down the hallway. She could hear voices. She pushed open the bedroom door. I'm not going to describe what she saw in detail. I don't need to. You already know. What I will tell you is this. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't one terrible drunken night. They had been doing this for the entire 6 months she'd lived in Texas. Every dinner, every wine night, every time her cousin said, "I love you, I'm so glad you moved here," it was a performance delivered to someone they were both actively betraying. They had used her isolation as cover. They had looked her in the eyes and laughed at her jokes while building something behind her back with the time and access she herself had given them. She dropped the pizza boxes on the bedroom floor. She turned around. She drove home. And over the next 10 hours, she packed every single thing she owned into the back of her SUV. By sunrise, she was on the interstate, driving back to New York, back to the career she'd left, back to the friends she'd missed, back to the version of herself that had existed before she sacrificed everything for someone who didn't deserve the shoes she walked out in. She never called, she never texted, she never said a word to either of them, not because she had nothing to say, but because she understood something rare and powerful. Some silences are louder than anything you could possibly scream. Okay, stop for a second. 3 stories in, and every single one of these people found out the truth through a physical, analog mistake. A camera they didn't know existed, a phone left face up, a spare key in a fake rock. But here's the thing. The next 3 stories are different.
because the people in them weren't caught through carelessness. They were caught through obsession, through technology, through a level of calculated, systematic deception that required an equally calculated response. If you are watching this at 11 p.m. and you have trust issues, I am genuinely sorry for what I'm about to do to you. Story number 4, the D&D Double Life. If you have ever felt that specific low-level anxiety when your partner's phone goes straight to voicemail, this story will name that feeling and then make it 10 times worse. The woman who shared this on Threads, I'll call her Emily, was engaged. Her fiancé was, by every external measure, the perfect partner. Flowers on random Tuesdays, remembered small things, planned thoughtful dates. They were 2 months from finalizing their wedding catering contract for 200 guests. But Emily had noticed a pattern. Small, strange, hyper-specific. Every Tuesday and Thursday at exactly 6:30 p.m., her fiancé's phone went to Do Not Disturb. And if she checked his location on Find My Friends, it would show a grayed out location not available. He had an explanation ready every time. Underground MMA gym, babe. Solid concrete walls. Zero signal. For 8 months, she believed him. You sign catering contracts with men you trust. But one Thursday evening, something shifted. One of those gut feelings you can't explain and can't ignore. She drove to the strip mall where the gym was supposed to be, parked across the street. His silver SUV wasn't there. She waited 3 hours in a cold parking lot. He never showed. That night, when he came home complaining about how brutal his sparring session was, she smiled and said nothing. She waited for him to fall asleep. When his breathing leveled out, she went to his home office, opened his MacBook Pro. It wasn't password protected. iMessage was fully synced. She did not find messages from a girl at a bar. She found a complete parallel life. Her fiancé had been in a full romantic relationship with a married woman for a year. A woman with a husband who worked hospital night shifts every Tuesday and Thursday. And here is where the story goes from devastating to genuinely unhinged. Her fiancé wasn't just sleeping with this woman. He had inserted himself completely into her family. He was texting her to ask what toys her 3-year-old liked. He was picking the child up from daycare. He was reading bedtime stories. He was helping put the kid to sleep and then going downstairs to sleep in the husband's bed with the husband's wife. On Tuesday and Thursday nights, while Emily was planning seating charts and cake flavors, her fiancé was playing stepfather to another man's child. Think about that for a moment. Emily didn't cry. She went cold. She screenshotted every message, every photo, every location pin. She printed them, all of them, in full color. She stacked them perfectly on the kitchen island. She placed her diamond engagement ring on top, like a full stop at the end of a sentence. Then she opened LinkedIn, found the woman's husband, sent him a calm, professional message with a Dropbox link containing every piece of evidence. In a single night, with a laptop and a color printer, she ended 2 fake relationships and freed 2 people from lies they didn't know they were living. She walked out the next morning without a word. Story number 5. The critical hit. All right, I need a moment to tell you something before this next story begins. Every other story today involves someone discovering a betrayal. This one involves someone who was first physically broken by the person who later emotionally destroyed them. And the way those 2 injuries connect is one of the most genuinely disturbing psychological arcs I have encountered in years of covering these stories. It starts with a door. A guy, I'll call him Marcus, was coming home late one night with a loud group of friends. They were messing around in the lobby of his apartment building, and one of his buddies thought it would be funny to lock him out. Marcus tried to force the heavy glass-paneled security door open, wedging his body into the frame to stop it from closing. A woman on the 3rd floor, completely unrelated to the group, never met any of them, saw this struggle from inside the lobby. She didn't know it was a prank. She thought she was watching someone try to break into the building. She did what she believed was the right thing. She sprinted across the lobby and full-body tackled the door shut with every ounce of force she had. The heavy metal frame slammed on Marcus at the precise worst moment, in the precise worst location that physics and anatomy allow for a man. He was rushed to the emergency room by ambulance. He required actual stitches in a place where no man ever wants stitches. When the woman found out what had actually happened, that it was a prank, that she had hospitalized an innocent man, she was overwhelmed with guilt. She came to the hospital. She brought food. She brought apology gifts. She sat with him for hours. And somehow, through the morphine and the embarrassment and the absurdity of the situation, they connected. They discovered they both loved fantasy board games. She started joining his Dungeons & Dragons group. She became a regular at the Friday night campaign. Every person who met them together assumed they'd get married. The How We Met story was the hit of every dinner party. For nearly 2 years, Marcus thought he'd found the one. The bizarre, impossible, hilarious love story that was proof the universe had a sense of humor. And then, approaching their 2-year anniversary, her behavior began to change. Erratic, secretive, distant, picking fights over nothing. Marcus started noticing strange glances across the D&D table, conversations that stopped when he walked in, a new uncomfortable tension in the group that he couldn't source, until he could. His girlfriend hadn't lost interest in him. She had been systematically and simultaneously sleeping with multiple men in their specific friend group, not casually, not impulsively, with coordination, with planning, while sitting across the same table from Marcus every Friday night, rolling dice, laughing at his jokes, and leaving with him at the end of the evening. The final blow came via text message, cold, brief, final. She was ending things. He found out 48 hours later, through a mutual friend, then through a public Instagram post, that she was now officially with his closest friend, the man who had been at that table every single Friday, the man Marcus had known since childhood. She had broken his body in a doorway. Then she broke his trust, his friendship group, and his sense of reality over 2 years of calculated, patient deception. He lost his relationship, his best friend, and his social circle in the same week. Marcus rebuilt. It took time, but he rebuilt. And he says in the thread where he posted this that the thing that helped him most was understanding one simple truth. People who are capable of that level of sustained deception are not a reflection of your worth. They are a reflection of a void in theirs. Drop a 2 in the comments if you've ever had your entire social circle affected by one person's lies. Before the final story, and I promise you this last one is the most terrifying and most modern thing we have ever covered on this channel. Hit subscribe right now, because what's about to happen in Story 6 is the kind of thing that only exists in 2026. And once you hear it, you are going to want to be here when we cover the next wave of stories just like it. Subscribe, then keep watching. Story number 6, the vibe coding leak. Everything we've covered today happened because someone made a human mistake, a microphone they forgot existed, a phone left unlocked, a key in a fake rock, a car that wasn't in a parking lot it was supposed to be in. This last story is different because nobody made a mistake, nobody snooped, nobody followed anyone. An algorithm did it for her. In early 2025, a movement swept through the tech world called vibe coding. The premise was simple and seductive. You didn't need to know how to program. You just described what you wanted to an AI model, Claude, Cursor, GPT, and it would write the code for you in hours. One of the apps born from this wave was an anonymous confession platform that its users quickly nicknamed the T app. The concept was elegant in the way that bad ideas often are. You create an anonymous account. You confess your secrets, affairs, lies, infidelities to a faceless audience. No names, no connections, no exposure. It exploded. Hundreds of thousands of users treated it like a confessional booth built entirely out of moral hazard. There was one catastrophic problem. The developer who built it using AI didn't actually understand the code the AI had written. He couldn't. He wasn't a programmer. He was a guy who knew how to write good prompts. And in his rush to launch before a competitor beat him to it, he missed one foundational security configuration: row-level security on his Superbase database. On July 29, 2025, automated security bots did what they always do when a database is left open to the internet. They scraped everything. Over 1 million personal messages, confessions, details, names, timestamps were dumped into a publicly accessible mirror within hours. And it wasn't just the confessions that leaked. The back-end metadata leaked too. Real names, real email addresses, directly linked to every anonymous post. The confession booth had glass walls all the time. Nobody knew. Enter a woman I'll call Jessica. Jessica was scrolling through news coverage of the breach on X. Out of pure, detached, morbid curiosity, she clicked the link to the public searchable mirror. She typed in her boyfriend's email address. She wasn't suspicious. She just wanted to see what would happen. She genuinely expected it to return 0 results. She hit enter. 32 entries populated on the screen. Her boyfriend had been using the app not as a joke, not once, but as a private digital diary to document in meticulous detail simultaneous affairs with 5 different women across their entire 3-year relationship. He had logged the specific hotels, the specific lies he told Jessica to cover each absence, the exact amounts of money spent, the fake names he used with each woman, and in several entries, he had written his unfiltered private opinions of Jessica herself, what he really thought of her, what he said to his other women about her, words he never intended any human to see. Jessica didn't need a private investigator. She didn't need to crack a password. She didn't need to follow him or hire anyone or do anything except type 12 characters into a search field on a Tuesday evening. A developer's laziness handed her a complete forensic record of 3 years of deception. She didn't cry. She hit print. All 32 pages. She highlighted her email address at the top of every single one. She stacked them on the kitchen table, and she packed his bags. When he came home from work, his sight case was on the front porch next to a neat stack of paper weighted down by his house keys. He never got an explanation. He didn't deserve one. The printout was the explanation. 6 stories. 6 people who trusted someone completely. 6 betrayals that required either a hidden camera, an unlocked phone, a spare key, a gut feeling, a forensic investigation, or a catastrophic AI security failure to finally reveal the truth. Here's what I keep coming back to. In every single one of these stories, the betrayed person had a moment, sometimes months before the proof arrived, where something felt wrong. David noticed his wife was unusually calm about the burglaries. She noticed her husband was oddly glued to his phone on day 3. Emily noticed the Tuesday-Thursday pattern for 8 months before she acted. The gut feeling always came first. The evidence just confirmed what the body already knew. If you're sitting with a gut feeling right now, I'm not telling you what to do with it. That's yours to navigate. But I am telling you, in 2026, the truth has more ways to surface than ever before. Security cameras you didn't know existed. Database breaches from apps you've never heard of. Metadata that survives long after the messages are deleted. The truth is patient. It always finds a way out. Which story hit you the hardest? The hot tub? The honeymoon? The D&D table? Or was it the AI breach that made you want to search every database on the internet? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you have a story that you think belongs in the next video, drop it there too. The algorithm does love a good confession. But more than that, so do the 200,000 people who are going to watch this video in the next 48 hours. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.